This is the Cubs Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Chicago Cubs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Locked On Cubs Postcast here on the Locked On Cubs YouTube channel. My name is Joe George, here with you every single Cubs game, talking all things what we just saw. And today we'll also hit on the deadline as the Cubs get the win 10-3, a much-needed victory for the Cubs in this game to make sure you weren't 3 games back in the division. So today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Okay, so we'll go through the game today. Cubs are 1 game back in the division. Much better feel with this one. Shota Imanaga rebounds. Kyle Tucker, a good day at the plate. Michael Busch, leadoff home run. We'll get to all of that. We'll get to the deadline watch that we'll do at the end of the show. A couple trades have happened this afternoon already, so we'll run through those as we figure out kind of what that means, what's next for the Cubs. But we will start today's show off with our Locked On Player of the Game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
All right, so for me, it's simple in this one. Now, yes, the Cubs scored 10 runs. There's a lot to, go over in this game. Guys, you can highlight moments. You can highlight. But simply here, the top of the 3rd inning, the bases are loaded. There's 2 outs, and Moises Ballesteros comes up, called up last night. We thought Ian Happ was going on the injured list. He didn't. He had a home run in this game. Instead, Ballesteros is the guy who comes up. Brujan is DFA'd, but Ballesteros comes up, bases loaded, 3-run double to break it open 5-1. Because at that point, look, the Cubs had opportunities in the 1st inning to score multiple runs. They only got 1 in the top of the 3rd. They only got 1 other run there as it was 2-1. And, Kelly grounded out to Vaughn. Suzuki was thrown out at home, so we had another missed opportunity. But Ballesteros, the rookie, comes up, has his first career extra base hit, clears the bases. It's a 5-1 ball game. My immediate reaction last night when I saw that was like, oh, Owen Casey's getting traded. We'll see what happens in the next, 25 hours, I think, as we're live here is what we have to the deadline. But player of the game is Ballesteros there. Needed that one from him. Obviously, he's been crushing it in the minors. He's been hitting the ball so well. When you think about the future of the Cubs, like you think of him as the everyday DH since the catching is so far behind. And I don't think this will be his last game as a member of the Cubs, but we've seen crazier things happen in baseball. So it's on the table that he does get moved in the next 25 hours. But for today, he's the hero of this game for me. And that's what kind of led to me for the Cubs getting the win in this one. Look, a lot of other guys made contributions in this game. Let's start with Shota Imanaga, who was obviously dreadful in his last start. He was not good. Today, totally different story. The location was great. The velocity was back, 7 strikeouts. And the one I point to the most was there in the bottom of the 5th inning, I think it was, where Shota is going up there. He's got a 2-strike count, and he paints a 91-mile-an-hour fastball on the corner to strike out Bryce Terang. It was a beautiful, perfect pitch. So the velocity, again, the location, all of that looked better. He was getting the swing and miss in this game. It just looked like he was much more comfortable and much more in control. And again, there was no concern about injury or anything like that after the last one because he kept going out there. It's not like they pulled him. He just wasn't at his best. So, but still, meaningful bounce back for sure in this game for him. And then Kyle Tucker, who we went over this at length in last night's show with how much Michael Busch, Seiya Suzuki, and Kyle Tucker have been struggling since the All-Star break. Kyle Tucker really goes back to the All-Star break. To June 29th. The last 30 days was hitting like 208 in the last 30 days. So Kyle Tucker today, 2 walks, a single, and the 2 RBI double that he had in this one. The bat speed, I saw this post. I think it was Bleacher Nation put this out there. Where his bat speed hasn't changed this year. He's just rolling over everything. So today was a much more typical Kyle Tucker day at the plate where he's just getting on base and 4 out of his 5 at-bats, through the walks, through line drives, ripping the baseball. So hopefully that's a positive sign to come for him because I said this last night too. This team, the Cubs will go as far as Kyle Tucker can take them. He doesn't have to be, the absolute best player in baseball, but you brought him here for a reason. And when you've had Bush and Tucker and Suzuki all struggling, PCA struggling a little bit as well at the All-Star break, even though of recent has been better. But Tucker was raking in this game, as Mike says here in the chat. Plus, I know we got a bunch of trade questions. We'll get to those. We got to talk about today's game first. But so that was a very positive sign to see from Kyle Tucker and Michael Bush too. Leadoff home run, first pitch of the game. He was banking on the fastball being there. He got it. He crushed it. Set the tone there early on. And going back to Shota here for a second, obviously the only really thing you had against him was Contreras had his number today for whatever reason. 2 home runs. Shota's facial expressions were very kind of funny, I would say, is the way to put it. He's very frustrated after both of them, surprised almost after the first one that it got out of the ballpark. But besides those 2 pitches, he was rolling. And then Peralta has been, for the Brewers, has been one of the best pitchers in baseball this year, especially when you look at terms of opponents' batting average and things like that. They showed it during the broadcast about how excellent he has been this year. So for the Cubs, who lost those 2 games in these last 2 games, and then coming out and taking down the Brewers' best pitcher, feels better going into the All-Star break. Into the trade deadline off day that's coming. And look, again, we'll see what happens over the next 25 hours of, do the Cubs make a big pitch? A big move at the deadline. It feels like they're going to, especially because of who has been moved already, like Ryan McMahon to the Yankees, and Brian Hayes has been traded to the Reds. Eugenio Suarez is just sitting there, and it feels like it has Cubs written all over him. But for this one, a very good outing for those guys. A couple other things to highlight in this game. Pete Crow-Armstrong, 3 for 4 in this one. I love that single that hits off the glove that turns into a double. He's such a weapon on the base pass. Want to see more of that if possible, but also really just the production from the DH position overall. So Ballesteros goes 1 for 2 with 3 RBIs. Justin Turner pinch hits, gets a double. Ian Happ 1 for 2 with a home run in this game. So your DHs in this one also were all very good. Matt Shaw got another hit in this game, and Dansby came through with a really, he roped that double with Turner on second base. And again, that's another part of the Cubs this year that's been struggling, has been Dansby Swanson with runners in scoring position. So that was a positive from this one as well. So a lot of good, honestly, for the Cubs today. Definitely didn't feel like it, going into the game today, but it felt like a must win. Talked about that last night. And then today it feels like that was just a much needed win for the Cubs. Big, deep breath, sigh of relief that the Cubs are not 3 games back in the division. They're only 1 game back with a lot of baseball left to go. About a third of the season now only left on the year. All right, we'll take a break here. We'll talk about other things that happened in this game. Plus, your comments and questions here in the chat are always welcome on YouTube. You're listening on audio, Apple, Spotify, or later on YouTube. You can tweet me or DM me on Instagram, whatever you want, at Joe George Radio. All right, let's take a break here on the Locked On Cubs postcast on the Locked On Cubs YouTube channel. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. We've all been there, logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. And that's where Gametime comes in. Gametime makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever, and prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. So if you want to go to one of the Really Feel concert series this summer, you can find all of that on Gametime, just plus whatever's going on. Easy to use and access on Gametime. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets, concert tickets, and show tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Today's show is also brought to you by 5-Hour Energy. Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink minus the alcohol into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, this is a hole-in-one for your energy game. let's be honest, some days on the course or off of it, like think about it, we're all gonna be stressed out here over the next couple hours waiting for the deadline to get there. The boost that you need can come from 5-Hour Energy. Golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors, of course. The grape ginger lime flavor gives you the best parts of your clubhouse to go without chasing down the bev cart. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that is the number 5hourenergy.com, you can use my promo code LOCKEDONMLB to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. This code is not good on subscription orders. Whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion-flavored 5-Hour Energy shots today. All right, trade questions. Let's get to it. The deadline, 25 hours away. O'Reilly says here, Cubs should win the series or sweep the Orioles. Got to keep winning series. Don't got to sweep them all. Do not have to, but got to keep winning series. The Orioles have been a really interesting team of late. Like Adley Rutschman is back. They've been scoring some runs, but they've also been giving out a lot. But frankly, who the Orioles are today feels very likely they will not be similar to that team on Friday when that series starts. Ryan O'Hearn, guys like that, feels like they're going to be moved. They might try to move someone like Charlie Morton, who I can't remember if he's scheduled this weekend or not to face the Cubs, but feels like the Orioles are going to look a lot different. But yeah, got to win this series this weekend. Just got to keep doing it. The Brewers are playing good baseball. We all know it. I think Matt and Sam's question last night on their podcast of just, are the Brewers a better baseball team than the Cubs right now? I think the way they're playing, the answer is yes. Long term, I still believe in the Cubs over the Brewers. We're also pretty biased here. But got to win the series this weekend versus the Brewers. Rojo CUBS says, trading Casey for a rental is dumb. Adding Alcantara would be almost astronomically dumb as a fireable offense. I don't think you're going to see both Casey and Alcantara get traded, specifically in one deal. Now, if they both were traded, you're probably talking about at least one starting pitcher that is under club control for a couple of years. And then maybe a third baseman. But I think that right now it really feels like the Cubs are one of the teams that is left on Eugenio Suarez. Thomas asks here in the chat, how many other teams are in the mix for Suarez? Well, we know we checked the Yankees off with Ryan McMahon going there. And I feel like today we checked the Reds off that list with the Reds trading in division with the Pittsburgh Pirates for Ke'Bryan Hayes. That feels like, to me, that limits it. The Astros have been pretty heavily rumored on Suarez. They don't have the prospect capital that they need to get that deal done. It feels like if the Cubs want this deal, it's theirs. Now, there are obviously always surprise teams and things like that, but all the rumors that have been floated around about him, it feels like all these other teams the boxes are getting checked off. And that means either the Diamondbacks' price is way too high, it's not coming down, so the Reds felt like they had to make a move. Obviously, the Yankees made a move early. So we'll see how that changes before 5 Central on Thursday. But, if the Cubs want Suarez, it feels like they are the leader in the clubhouse right now for that. Again, I hope Owen Casey does not get traded. Kyle Tucker is probably not going to be a Cub next year. And I think you want to have him in right field as your everyday guy starting next season. So that would be my preference at least. And Ballesteros too will be an interesting one because he's probably your DH of the future, honestly, with Suzuki's contract not for much longer. But at this point, I expect the Cubs to trade for a starting pitcher and at least one arm in the bullpen. Now, what's interesting about the arms in the bullpen is we also saw today 2 bullpen pitchers get traded. Brothers, actually, Taylor and Tyler Rogers were traded. So that marks off another 2 bullpen arms. Now, the Mets paid a pretty hefty price for, I think it's Taylor Rogers. It's hard to keep track of which one's which. They traded Drew Gilbert and 2 other prospects. So Drew Gilbert was a first-round pick a couple of years ago. So the names to be looking out for right now are Suarez, Mackenzie Gore. I think the Dylan Cease stuff is really interesting. It feels like he's getting moved by the Padres. They want a catcher in return, apparently, is what the Padres want, which the Cubs have if they wanted to make that move. So that's one I would be looking out for. Cabrera, Alcantara, Joe Ryan, All those guys actually I just mentioned. Carter says here, fake Carter Hawkins in the chat, says you only move Casey in a deal for Alcantara, Ryan, Cabrera, or Gore. Totally agree. Like, I think you have to be that level of pitcher. It seems like Johan Duran is going to get moved tonight to the Dodgers. That feels like it's happening quickly, the way it's been reported. So I would rather the Cubs, look, because of the way they spend in the offseason, I would rather not trade prospects for rentals, or at least all rentals at this point. Like, you can do a mixed bag. Like, I would be pro Cease coming here. Well, I feel like Cease hasn't been good, to his level this season. I think if we, woke up and it was Cease is starting for the Cubs this weekend against the Baltimore Orioles, I do think Cubs fans would feel pretty excited about that for sure. So we'll see. I think there's a lot of people that are feeling anxious because the Cubs haven't made a move just yet. But one will come. I am confident of that. I think I agree with Goro here. Only one rental, Suarez. Suarez is the rental that I'd rather go for of anything. Adrian Hauser is another name too that I would keep in mind from the White Sox. Obviously, the Cubs just saw him. That one can make a lot of sense if they're going in the lower level club. But when you think about guys like Seth Lugo, who we had talked about for a while on this show, we get a lot of questions about. He signed a contract with the Royals. He's not going anywhere. The Cubs have been kind of linked to Emmanuel Clase. He's obviously not an option now that he's on, suspended. He's suspended or whatever they're calling it for gambling allegations. But my number one is Mackenzie Gore. That's my final thoughts on the show today, is that Mackenzie Gore is my number one option for the Cubs at the deadline. It's a lot of lefties. Yes. I mean, you think about what that rotation is next year. It's Justin Steele, lefty, Mackenzie Gore, lefty, Shota, lefty, Matthew Boyd, lefty. Oh, well, like that's fine with me. Deal with it. Like, I don't care about your balance in a rotation. So, that's my number one wish list is Mackenzie Gore for sure. And frankly, if they don't trade for a third baseman the way Matt Shaw's been playing, I'm good with it. So that will do it for me. You can find me on all social media platforms at Joe George Radio, TikTok, Instagram, all of that stuff, Twitter, all there. So you guys can find me there. We'll be back live on Friday night. Make sure you're checking out tomorrow, Matt and Sam, when they do their show of reacting to everything happening at the trade deadline. So thank you guys for watching. We'll talk to you on Friday. Peace.